Technically speaking.
Welcome to our Technically Untechnical Technology Talk,
a NIWC Atlantic production,
and an award-winning podcast with your hosts, Chelsie Holloway and Alex Jackson.
So Alex, instead of jumping into our usual banter, we need to introduce our guest because we have a different style episode for you, our listeners. We are sitting here with a NIWC Atlantic expert to have a roundtable discussion around cybersecurity. Now, I'm not talking about naval cybersecurity for the warfighter, even though that is, of course, a wonderful capability that NIWC Atlantic has. I'm talking about tips around cybersecurity for you and your home.
That's right, Chelsie. I'm excited for this episode and to ask all our burning questions. He will not only be giving us advice on securing our home networks, but also our online presence. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Richard Stamper, or Rick, and NIWC Atlantic lead engineer and this episode's expert. Welcome to the podcast, Rick.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Great. I'm so excited to talk about this. It's a great conversation starter whenever I'm talking to anyone about what I do with work, because half the time they're like, oh, well, what about like cybersecurity? Well, how do I protect myself? I was like, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, right? So now we have an engineer here to tell us all about it. And I have to share like my big thing that I did for myself, and it's been over a year now. I deleted my social media apps but I did that more just to like separate, and had no idea the type of cybersecurity I might be helping myself by deleting the apps, but I think there's so much more I should be doing. So I'm excited to kind of talk about that today. Are you on social media? Do you kind of indulge in that?
I am as guilty as anybody else.
Yeah.
I do indulge in social media. But you're right. There's a lot of risk to be considered when you're on there, and there's a lot of practices that people should take, especially from the perspective of those of us who travel internationally for our work and do work for the government. There's a lot of things to consider.
And Alex, you're active on social media.
Yes, I'm as well. So it's kind of hard to balance the two, making sure that you stay safe, but also wanting to stay current with what's out there on social media.
Yeah, and there's some things I can go over with you with your social media to help you. You can't totally protect yourself, but there's some things you can do to help protect your data.
And before we dive into that, we're going to start with how we protect our home Wi-Fi. But I want to know, what are the threats that we need to be aware of around even just our home networks?
Yeah, so around your home networks, things to consider are accessibility, what you're using on your Wi-Fi, who's using it. A lot of the routers and stuff nowadays, you have a lot of capabilities that you can exercise and you can use to help protect yourselves. Segmentation.
Is it that easy for people to like hack into your home Wi-Fi and just see what you're doing?
Yes.
Is that a real threat?
It's a very real threat. There's actually people who drive around affluent neighborhoods, as you would call them, and hack people's networks to get into their home devices and get into financial records and information that they're trying to steal. So
are they looking for your online like banking and stuff like you're talking about, or are they trying to get into your files, or all of the above?
Think about it as your front door is just like your router. It's only as secure as the locks you put on it and the effort you put into protecting it. So yeah, I mean, you can get into a lot. If somebody can get into your Wi-Fi network, they can get into accessing files on your computers. They can get into your computers and monitor you, gain access to financial information, personal information, maybe stuff you don't want out on the internet. You don't want anybody to have access that's personal. It's all accessible if you don't protect yourself.
So you mentioned segmentation. What can we do to protect our Wi-Fi?
All right, so if you start simple, a lot of the routers nowadays come with guest Wi-Fi. I think everybody's seen that. You have a guest option on your Wi-Fi. So my recommendation is to anybody that's coming into your home that is not a regular needs to be on guest Wi-Fi. Oh. Don't ever let somebody onto your main Wi-Fi. Don't assume best intentions. As we spoke earlier, zero trust. Don't trust anybody, especially from outside your home. My kids at my home, you get a little QR code that we have that whenever friends come over, to put on the fridge, and the friends come over, they want to get on the internet. That's great, fine. Scan the fridge, jump on the guest Wi-Fi. Keep them off of your main internet. And I try to, for those of us who are a little more savvy, you can do other things like if you have segmentation between the different wavelengths and stuff like that, you can actually break it down. So if you're using a 2.5 or 5 megahertz, you can break those down a little bit differently to be able to give people the ability to segment your work traffic from your personal traffic too.
So is segmentation something like another device you have to buy, or is it something like a setting within your Wi-Fi?
It's settings within your router. It's utilizing the settings that are available to you. So you can utilize, like I said, most people's routers have guest Wi-Fi built in. It's a great feature to utilize. It's a very basic feature. Anybody can do it. Just don't give anybody your main Wi-Fi password, and make sure you give that guest to everybody who's just coming in and out of your home.
So segmentation is guest Wi-Fi, basically.
It's a concept.
Okay. So, but how do we protect them from people just driving around trying to hack in, like you had mentioned earlier?
This is a tough one. So there was a time that everybody thought if you hid your SSID, which is your ID that identifies your router, when you go into your home and you see, Alex's internet.
Right.
That's your SSID.
Okay.
And people thought, hey, we can hide that. Well, yes and no. Anybody that actually has the tools and is driving around doing this, they have a way of seeing that. So they can still pick that SSID out, right? And then they can ping that information and actually it'll come back and give them all the data that they're looking for to be able to get into your router. So it doesn't give your password. It just identifies your router for them. It tells you make, model, and things like that. So there's a way for them to do it. So the best security you have is keeping your iOS up to date, your firmware up to date, the things that, provide security patches for your devices, and making sure you keep a good, strong password on your router. Most people take the little password that's written on the bottom of their Wi-Fi router. I would recommend against that, even though I understand a lot of providers give you that. It's good that they do something other than just using the admin password for the software as it comes. However, I would strongly recommend you go to something a little stronger, create a password, no information in it can even be figured out. It's just make it random letters and symbols to try and protect yourself. And
what about actual words? Would you even use real words or just random letters?
I would recommend against it.
Huh?
Pattern recognition, anything. I mean, these tools that they use nowadays goes through the vocabulary list. It does a lot of, there's a lot of encryption tools out there, decrypting tools for this case, that will get through that pretty quick. So you want to make it random letters, random symbols, and you want it to be minor 20 or greater bits long, so 20 or greater characters. Stay away from 12. 16's good. The more the better.
Do you recommend changing that password every so often?
Yeah, we change ours quarterly in our home, so every 3 months I change that password. You don't have to. It's just a philosophy that I live by now, is protecting myself.
Oh, so other than changing our password and keeping our device, is it our devices up to date or our router up to date? Because I don't know if I've ever seen anything from my router.
Yeah, it's everything. So anything on your network at your home should be patched properly, which means you should have your iOS updates on your phone.
Right.
So you have your software on your iPhone or your Android. You should be on the latest version. You should never. A lot of people turn their phone to don't update until I've looked. You want to manually do it, but what do we mostly forget?
Yeah.
Things like that are in the background, they're obscure to you. You're not thinking about them every day, especially if it's not your livelihood to do so. So setting automatic updates on, making sure when you get prompted for an update on your phone or your computer or anything like that, you do those updates. They're there to protect you. Your home, your router is a doorway, and what people forget to realize, if you think about it, like you have a car, right? You got 4 doors on your car, but you got windows. Well, there's more than one way to get into your car than just the driver's side door, right? There's these other doors, there's windows. When you reach out to the internet, you're opening up those doors and windows, right? You're reaching out to websites, and you're creating points of access for that. So your software on your computer is designed to help protect you from that. And there's other methods, which we can get into when you want to, but you have to remember that you're only secure as the locks on your door. It's the same concept. These computers are doorways into your home network, and you've got to make sure that your software is up to date so that you're protected.
So speaking of websites and usage of our internet data, so our data, we're learning, has been collected all the time from social media, from Google searches, from everything. Do we need to be concerned about how it's used?
Yes.
And if so, why?
Okay, so there's a lot of different answers to that one. Who here gets spam phone calls?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time, right? It's used for that purpose. It's used for advertising, spam emails, all kinds of stuff. It's used. It can be used for other nefarious purposes. People stealing your identity so they can try to get a loan in your name, try to get credit cards in your name, maybe just get your credit card information so they can utilize your credit card. And then there's people who they gather the data just because we want to know what they're thinking. I've actually was talking this with some coworkers of mine. Have you ever been in a mood about something? Maybe it's for men, and maybe a drill you like, or a type of drill you like, or something you just think about, but randomly shows up as an advertisement for you. Now, you didn't search it, you didn't mention it to nobody, you didn't talk about it in front of Alexa or anything like that, but yet an advertisement pops up for that particular thing. All right, so it's algorithmic. They collect data on you.
It's not listening.
It's so advanced. It's so advanced. They study your behaviors and your patterns through that, and they can tell, based on other things you've purchased and your historical purchases, that when they buy these things, they tend to go buy these other things. Or when they're doing this, they tend to be in the mood to purchase things like this. And they can go right down to that level of detail and predict what you would like to purchase at that time.
Yeah.
That's how advanced it is. So remember, when they're collecting data, they're collecting patterns, your behavioral patterns.
Yeah, that brings us to the next question, which was going to be about algorithms. How do we protect ourselves from being taken advantage of the algorithm?
In reference to things like data collection, well, how many people have an app? I'll ask you, do you have any apps on your phone that you don't pay for?
All of them.
Yes. All of them, yeah.
All right, they're free, right? You have some free. You have some paid for apps. I have some that I pay for, but the majority of your apps are free.
Yeah.
Is anything ever free?
Well,
nothing's ever free, right?
Monetarily, I'm not paying for them. Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. So if you're not paying for an app, which means there's no security policy between you, that privacy policy between you and that company that says, hey, you're paying us for a service and we're going to provide you just that service. And if we collect data from you, it is specifically to make sure we're providing you a good service. Right. Those apps, you are the commodity. You are what they're selling. They're collecting your data, taking that data. Oh, I got a free IP calculator and I put it on my phone, so it makes it so much easier for me to do my work. Well, go and look and see what they're collecting off of you. They're collecting your information. They're taking that information and then they're selling it to the market.
What is an IP calculator?
So it's just an application that you buy, or you don't buy, you download for free and you put it on your phone, and it helps you calculate subnets on the fly. So if you're calculating something complex, you can move quickly and calculate it real quick and keep moving, right?
Okay.
So it's just because it's free monetarily to you does not mean you're not the commodity that somebody is collecting data off of to sell to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that is actually quite often the case. And probably, I would venture to say, very, very few applications in this world that are free for your phone or your computer that aren't costing you money.
And that's legal, right? It wasn't that a big argument in the courts, and eventually it has become legal. They just have to tell you that they're going to collect your data, and then you can accept or not accept cookies. Am I blending too many things together, or how is that?
No, and I think you're right there in some forms. I think some of these applications have a lot of ways around those types of things, but they're supposed to disclose to you in a privacy disclosure. But when's the last time you read a privacy disclosure?
Right. No, but I always agree to it, and I know what it means, them collecting my data.
Oh, this is so much. I don't want to read it all.
But I do try to avoid the cookies and do like only the necessary cookies.
So that's your problem.
Is that helpful at all, or is that pointless?
Yeah, it's to some degree, and it depends on the website that offers it. Yeah, I always try to reject anything and everything I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to share that kind of information. I don't want to give you information about me that I really don't want to disclose.
And Google's incognito mode, does that actually protect you, or is that also a make-believe thing that they've put out there?
So yes, it does help.
Okay.
A Safari offers something similar, privacy, privacy browsing, private browsing, stuff like that. So there are features out there that they're trying to utilize to help protect consumers. Yeah. So that's a definite big step in the right direction. But in the end, the website you connect to, that's still your biggest problem, right? And there are other things you can use, other browsers they can use that will protect you, do a better job of protecting you, and allow more customization to protect you at a much more granular level and keep those types of you can't even access those types of websites, to be honest with you, with some of these things, some of these tools that you have. They'll keep you away from them, and they'll warn you, hey, if you want to access, you're going to give up a lot of data.
Yeah. And I've noticed like every time I have to make an account for so many different websites now and create a password and all this fun stuff, right? And it always needs my address or a phone number. And I feel like and it's required and I have to put it in or else I can't have the account. I can't access the service. Is that protected or am I at risk with that? Like they're supposed to have some sort of protection when they do that, right?
The answer would vary based on the type of website you're accessing and what service it is. How, you got to remember it's also, we're talking ethics too, to a certain degree with these companies. So it's also talks about, you got to consider the company you're doing business with. Are you signing up for a free trial? If you go on one of these websites, you can sign up for a free trial. 2 weeks for free, no charge. Just give us your name, your email, and your phone number, and your date of birth.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd be surprised, if you go out there on the internet or you do some of these websites, I use Incogni. Incogni is one of the ones I use to protect myself, to pull my data off the net. When you go out there and look, and guess what you find predominantly is associated with you? It's usually your name, your phone number, your email, and maybe your birth date or an address. And then you go out there and realize, oh, wow, they've sold this to over 500 companies.
Yeah.
So your information it's still really based on the company. There are some companies that do that, like Incogni, which is that's their purpose. They're a security-based company. They're not going to sell your information. But then there are companies that it's another form of income, right? So they're able to passively make money off you by just selling the data, telling people what you bought from them or what services you're using or what you're accessing through them, and then giving them a method to access you.
So like one tip to help combat the algorithm is say, I don't know, your feed is too much at politics, right? Like that's a very relevant thing, too many politics. Should you just start Googling cat videos and then the algorithm will pick up that new pattern that you don't want political stuff, you want cat videos?
Well, I'd say you're probably not going to fool the Google algorithm.
Why not?
Right. You're talking about a very advanced tool. What I would recommend in this case is you would use other browsers and other search tools. There are other search tools out there that don't collect data on you, but they're still pretty good. They're not great, but they're still pretty good. And I mean, Google is used so heavily because it's so advanced, but it's so advanced because of all the data they collect and the billions of dollars they've poured into making it that way. So using different browsers like Brave is a great browser you can use. It's one I personally actually am very fond of. You can customize it. You can prevent all those trackers that you don't realize when you access a website, the trackers that they have built in to pull information off of you just to try and track you. So Brave, there's a search tool called DuckDuck. DuckDuck is a great browsing tool that you can use, and there's a lot of others out there that won't collect data off you, but still allow you to access the web and will warn you when you're going to a website that is known for collecting data off of users.
Okay. All right. So best overall tips to keep ourselves safe, whether it's home Wi-Fi or just browsing the internet. What is your overall tips?
I'd say the best tip I can give anybody, because it's probably the most impactful as far as the biggest risk that everyone, for the most part, suffers from, or anybody who doesn't practice good security, would be when it comes to your financial accounts, bank accounts, credit card accounts, anything of that nature. Did you ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
With Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. And the gentleman he portrayed in that movie was Frank Abagnale. Frank Abagnale is a real guy.
Yeah.
He's worked for the FBI for ages, right? You saw that in the movie. He went to work. That was a true story. Frank Abagnale gave
for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, we got to give a little bit of the preface here. So basically,
so Frank Abagnale was a young man at that point in time who traveled the world, basically using fraud as his method to get everywhere, to gain access to bank accounts, get money for free. I mean, he literally traveled the world. He pretended to be a pilot, never flew a plane, eventually did actually fly a plane, pretended to be a surgeon. He did all kinds of crazy stuff.
He forged paper though. Just so people know the difference.
He forged checks.
Yes.
Yeah. He was a master at it.
Yes.
And this is why when he got out of prison, they actually put him to work.
Yep.
And he went to work for the FBI. He was their premier fraud guy, check fraud guy. Frank Abagnale gave a speech at a lot of the FBI graduations and stuff like that. So Frank Abagnale gave a speech, and it's actually what got me into where I'm at. And it got me into where I am as a person, just being more careful. In that speech, he talked about people with bank accounts. And he said the single greatest risk to consumers, the worst invention, was the debit card. Because a debit card is immediate access to your bank account. And when I heard him talk about that, and he explained why he used credit cards only, he never connects a bank account to any external facing thing. It just triggered me to really start thinking about my bank account and my career field, talking segmentation, and started thinking about, wow, it would be a really great idea if I didn't have the same email and password for every single bank account, credit card account, or things of that nature.
Yeah.
So my best advice to anybody out there who's just really trying to do something simple, kind of complex, but simple in its how you do it, create separate emails for your bank accounts and don't access anything from those emails, and use separate passwords for all those emails so that every bank account and every credit card has its own email and its own password, and never utilize them to get a free trial or to log on to a website. Keep them completely separate from the world. That is one of the best ways to protect your bank accounts and your financial information.
That's really good advice. I think it's very unique, and want to make sure that those safeguards are there for us to keep our lives safe.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, how many emails do you have? Email addresses?
15.
Oh my goodness. Okay. They're not all Google, are they?
No. I have a few that are Google. The majority of my emails are actually on Proton. Proton does a really great job of removing. So when you get an email, you get trackers in your emails and stuff too. So Proton does a great job of filtering those out and keeping them from getting access to you. So again, when you open an email, you think you just opened an email. You don't realize there's trackers built into those emails too. It's really crazy the links they go to get data off you.
Wow.
And Proton strips those trackers before you get the email so that they can't pull any data off you.
This is a lot of very good advice. I'm sure we could talk all day about this, but no one wants to listen to an 8-hour podcast about this. So we are gonna take it down, take it back. But I have some work to do. I have a lot of emails to make, and then I have to try and convince my husband to do the same, because he's definitely the type of person who keeps life simple as possible, to not have to remember too much.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, maybe we need to change our tactics here.
Yeah, and you could do something simple like add a VPN, to your network, NordVPN, Proton VPN, things, something like that. That'll help protect your traffic too. It's a good way to keep people that are trying to sniff around from seeing what you're doing.
Awesome. Alex, what are you going to do? What changes are you going to make?
I'm going to have to create some new emails as well, and and definitely do some segmentation on the Wi-Fi at home, which will be helpful.
Joe, you got any tidbits from yourself back there, our sound engineer?
No, ma'am.
You already knew all this?
No, ma'am.
All right, Rick, thank you so much for chatting with us. We learned a lot. I'm excited to share all this with our audience, and it's been a great time.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
As usual, to learn more about NIWC Atlantic and all of our wonderful capabilities, check out our social medias under NavWar or our NIWC Atlantic website. Links are in the description.
This wraps up another great episode. Thanks as always for listening. If you have a tip or story that you think should be included in this podcast, please contact us at our public affairs email address, which is listed in the description.
Naval Information Warfare Center Atlantic, also known as NIWC, is the East Coast branch of the Naval Information Warfare Systems Command within the Department of the Navy. We develop a range of technologies that provide state-of-the-art capabilities to the United States military.